Oh, the fat cat's here? Oh my goodness. Got the fatty. We got the catty. Alright. Is it happening? Are you doing your thing? Sweet. There we are. Hey everybody. Welcome. It's a little after dark. It is what day is it? It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday the 23rd. Woo! So a couple of little news items. One is that one of the subsidiaries, one of the partners of NextBridge Hydrocarbons, has Hudspeth Operating, has submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the University Lands Board, asking for all communications, including electronic, voicemail, blah, 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 regarding their decision to not renew the lease that NextBridge Hydrocarbons and Hudspeth had on the university lands. My guess is this is the lawyers going, we're going to sue the shit out of you if we find anything that's untoward. And if I were the university lands people, I would be lawyering up right now. So that and other news is Larry Cheng posted a thing to LinkedIn. Let me actually, I forgot to pull it up here. So let's LinkedIn. Half the time LinkedIn doesn't remember me anyway. Hey, it did remember me this time. Sweet. So I got to go to messages because it was sent to me by Saul. And bam. Okay. So he posted the most blatant "you got this" post I've seen out of one of these folks involved in GameStop. This one is kind of juicy. So let's throw this up here. And come on, Chrome. Do you think? Come on. There we go. Okay. It says, picture this. Your company just went public and the lockup period is over. Your company got acquired and your share of the proceeds just hit the bank account. Or you are wealth managers from Greenwich, Connecticut, and you just won the lottery. For some fortunate folks, any one of these events can lead to a sudden influx of substantial wealth. What you've been thinking of as paper wealth for months or years is now real. So what do you do? This question was posed to me recently, and I thought I'd share my thoughts as I've seen this scenario play out for many individuals throughout the years. My general guidance is simple. Try not to do anything different for 1 year. Stick the money in your bank account in some cash-like instrument. Forget about it for a year. What's the value of the year waiting period? You remove yourself from the pressures, expectations, and emotions of the moment. That dynamic can often lead down a road where wealth is lost, relationships are injured, a positive experience turns into a bad one. So many decisions... Cats are climbing over things I need to mail. So many decisions are made in that first year when you and your wealth are most vulnerable due to the confluence of many factors. There's a reason so many lottery winners end up unhappy. There's a reason professional athletes end up bankrupt at alarming rates. While accruing wealth from a successful startup is a different process than winning the lottery or being an athlete, many of the pressures and dynamics of sudden wealth remain the same, and unfortunately, some of the end results are the same as well. This is incredibly boring. Is this incredibly boring advice? Yes, guilty as charged. Is it aesthetic? It definitely comes off that way, but I'm hardly an aesthetic person. I just view pursuing such a path as a lot of upside and no downside, while doing the reverse is a lot of downside with not much upside. What you do in that first year having new wealth may ultimately be the most important investment decision you make. Okay, so it's got a little piece of advice in there, but I think the most important thing of this entire thing is, or you're a wealth advisor from Greenwich, Connecticut, and you just won the lottery. Okay, so in Bed Bath & Beyond, there's a lawsuit against Hudson Bay Company. Hudson Bay Company was a large holder in Bed Bath & Beyond, and they had an agreement that said they would not purchase more than 10% of the company, or 9.99% of the company. And they're being sued by the plan administrator, Hudson Bay, saying, "Whoa, dude, we didn't buy this. It belongs to somebody else," right? And there's been lots of rumors that those shares were purchased as using Hudson Bay as a proxy for perhaps Ryan Cohen or GameStop. And then GameStop, in their filings last year, said that they had a whole bunch of securities that they didn't want to claim a loss on because they thought they were going to get them back, which suggests, Bed Bath. Where'd that cat go? And ow, you're biting me. And so Hudson Bay is based in Greenwich, Connecticut. They are wealth managers. Isn't that just a bit coinky dinky, huh? Oh, I didn't mean to do that one. I'm supposed to do the After Dark. Because it's After Dark time. After Dark.
Houston, we have a problem.
Oh man, while I was playing, there was like full-on battle-rama happening over here between the fat boy and the young cat. The young cat just ran away. I think the fat boy won. Did you win, kitty? Did you win it? Good job. Okay, that's off. That's off. Original intro's off. We have so many. I haven't done After Dark in a while. It's been a couple weeks since I've done After Dark, so here we are, After Dark in it. Alex Bishop says Jumpin' Burger. Fuck yeah. So, is all the news I had, Monkey? I had that. I had the next bridge thing. There's been lots of rumor and innuendo coming out of pretty established journalists and DC insiders that there is a video of Donald Trump sexually assaulting an underage girl, the daughter of a donor at a fundraiser dinner. The video has not come out yet. It's just the rumor mill has been going out there about it. I'm sure if there is a video of such, it's being verified and witnesses verified, probably law enforcement contacted, because you can't just put a video out there of that because that violates CSAM laws. So if you're going to run a story on it, you either have to edit the video in such a way to identify the child involved, or show explicit sexual assault of a minor. That's against the law. So it's a very precarious spot to be in if you're a journalist and you've received this information. But yeah, the rumor mill spun up really big on the internet about such an event that happened perhaps in the last week or so. Halprin, what's his name? Mark Halprin, he's at Newsmax. He alluded to it last night, basically saying if it's true, he's been contacted to run the story. If it's true, it would end the Trump campaign. The editor at Real Clear Politics also said he was contacted about the story. There's a couple other journalists out there who may already be in possession of such video and are verifying it and probably doing so under the eyes of like an FBI agent to make sure they aren't breaking the law with such a video. So things are going to be very spicy. We are in the last couple of weeks of a very contentious campaign, and stuff like this could be coming out all the time. And you have to make sure it's not AI. It's not doctored and, Adobe Premiere or animated or whatever. So I would just be don't jump the gun on any of that stuff. Just, if it comes out, it comes out. Blah, blah, blah. And did I have anything else? That was all the news I think I had off the bat, Monkey. World Series is starting tomorrow. Yankees versus Dodgers. So replay of the 81 series. Fernando Mania and Fernando Valenzuela just passed away. I heard it was cancer. I've not had that verified yet either. But one of the all-time greats. 17-year career. Absolute stud. I think started his career with eight complete games and like 5 shutouts. And then rode that team in 81 to the World Series. Just the last great screwballer. We have not seen a screwballer since. You guys don't know what a screwball is? He's a left-hander, so he's screwballed this way. But I'm a right-hander, so it's basically like a reverse slider. A slider usually comes off your hand the easy way and spins and dives away from a right-handed hitter. But if you're a right-hander throwing a screwball, you curve your arm in, and that ball dives into a right-handed hitter and away from a lefty, or into a righty and away from into a righty and away from lefty. and it messes up your arm. If you ever have the chance to meet an old screwball pitcher, which there's fewer and fewer of them in existence today, if any left, their arms are like permanently prorated out. Like they would walk down the street, and then one arm, can't even see because of the cameras there, but one arm's like this way all the time because how many times they have to turn that ball over. So their arms are like permanently disfigured as a result of pitching with screwballs. So Fernando, one of the greats, hats off to you. Fernando Mania was absolute legendary chunk of time in Los Angeles for sure. Okay, CP, how do you do? Well, you're first. Fred Jones thought it was first. Kelly Reed thought they were first. You were not. It was CP. CPAW. Kelly Reed. Warren Buffett indicator reaches 200% for the first time in history, surpassing the dot-com bubble and global financial crisis. Yes. I think we talked a little bit about that the other day. The Warren Buffett indicator, or Buffett index, as people like to call it also, is basically you take the totality of the U.S. GDP and you compare it to the totality of the value of the U.S. stock market. And Buffett says it needs to be 1-to-1. You know, if you've got $20 trillion here, you need $20 trillion there. Well, when the value of the stock market is less than the value of GDP, it's a really good time to buy stocks. When it's more than GDP, it's a really good time to sell stocks and wait for it to drop and get back to equilibrium. We are at 200%. It's 2 times the entire value of the US GDP is in stocks, meaning US GDP is at 21 trillion and stocks are at 42 trillion. And that according to Warren Buffett is not sustainable. And why you've seen Berkshire Hathaway amass some $300 billion in cash and just selling things off right now. They're just dumping it into cash, putting that to like just earn simple interest in savings accounts or money markets, wherever they happen to be. And then when they're waiting for things to crash, and then they'll jump in and scoop everything up for a steal and turn that 300 billion into $1 trillion. And that's what they're waiting on. Better luck next time, Fred. Canada cut rates 0.5 basis points. Going to be a brutal winter up here. Canada's going through some things. That's for sure. They're definitely going through some things. You got the Chinese having secret police departments being busted all over China. You've got the Indian government doing like assassination campaigns of dual citizens that live in Canada. Like, you got some weird things going on in Canada right now. So, buckle up. I think it's only going to get weirder. Rose Moon, I'm so hungry. 654, Merrick Garland has no balls. I do think we need a little bit more of a pit bull as an AG. Somebody who's, Katie Porter. Katie Porter would make a fantastic attorney general. Ooh. Oh, I think my nipples just got hard thinking about Katie Porter as a attorney general. She is a badass, a very successful prosecutor. She eviscerated everyone who came before her committees in Congress with her whiteboard, laying things out, and absolutely just destroyed them. Yeah, Katie Porter for attorney general. That's my vote right there. And the fact that Kamala Harris is a former attorney general herself of the second largest Justice Department in the United States, she could probably recognize a good prosecutor when she sees one. And hey, Kamala, Katie Porter for AG. Okay. Lost my spot there. Fred Jones, either way, heading to bed. Good night, all. Sweet champagne dreams and caviar wishes. Oh, you know what it reminds me of? I got an address from Mark Wood, which means we get to do our unboxing of the 50-cent wish item. Oh, what do you think it's going to be? You hear crinkly bags, I think it's treats, but I don't think it's treats. It doesn't sound like treats to me. So what is Mark Wood going to get for his donation for last month's Cherry Tuesday? Oh, it's a very super professional microphone. What was that? What are you? Just some sort of sticker? Okay. Super professional microphone. How do I... Is it Velcro? It opens this way. Oh! Oh my goodness, it's another lavalier kit. Okay, so what we have is we've got input. Stick that sucker into whatever recording device or PA system you have, right? It's wireless. And then you have the microphone itself. And then this must be the transmitter. Okay, yeah, it's the transmitter. So it plugs in there. And you got the volume, power, and then batteries go in there. It's got a handy little leather kit here, a faux leather kit. Well, there you go. Mark Wood, you can now be a reporter on the street with your super professional microphone KM208 from Kongen. Boom. Ta-da! Wait, I think it's something in this bag. At least it helps to hold it in. All right. Well, a fancy another. That's 2 wireless microphones we've gotten. There must have been quite a few of them up on that Wish thing when I was doing that 4 years ago. I have no idea what I got. So that leaves two Wish items. Here's what I'm going to do. I have the 2 last 50-cent Wish items for Charity Tuesday, which is going to be actually next Thursday for Halloween, because, you know, who doesn't like to dress up? So we're going to do a Halloween Charity Tuesday on a Thursday. I'm going to give away those 2 items. And I'm going to give away a special 3rd item, which is a rather nice, brand new sluice box. So you can go out and you can go to your local stream and you can get gold if you want to. So I'll have a sluice box to give away and 2 50-cent Wish items for Halloween. And if we happen to raise a lot of money, I might start throwing in more from the Michael Mystery box. Because we got, I think, 24 more items in this box right there, designed to be given away to all of you folks who donate to charity. So if we have a super explosive, big, amazing Halloween charity day, well, you know, maybe I'll get generous too. Okay, so congratulations, Mark Wood, on your microphone. I'll get that in the mail to you. All the other crap I've got to get in the mail to people. But, you know, Jerome, my brother, and I are placing the starter in the car, and I hope that we think it will do it, Monkey. Do you? Do you think it will do it? I think it will do it. Okay. Hayes Productions. Hey, Houston. I had BBY shares. Am I getting anything out of this? I also saw another bank failed. Is this true? We had a couple of bank fails. We had one in Nebraska, a local bank in Nebraska fail. We've got OKZ. That's their commercial construction lender, and they are basically saying like we're doomed. So we're going to limit the amount of money we can lend to people and try to tighten up our home, because they're realizing that they're lending all this money to construction projects that now aren't selling or renting out, and they're not getting their money back. And they don't want to own a whole bunch of half-finished projects all over the country. So, yeah, there's more banks that are going to be doomed. There's a bank that failed in, was it Pennsylvania today, Monkey? They got taken over by a credit union. So the bank is going to become a credit union, which is wild. The credit unions are going to start eating things up. That blows my mind. Anyway, your BBBY shares. I think you are going to get something back. I think Larry Cheng was alluding to exactly that in his post today. I think that when, not if at this point, when they finally have crossed their T's and dotted their I's, and they're ready to submit their credit bid and take over of the company, there will be an announcement of legacy shareholders getting their shares back, or getting a proportion of their shares back, plus probably warrants being issued to them, and maybe other instruments or shares in other companies, and probably a cash value as well. And then it's just been so long. I'm so tired. I want it to be done. I want to go do things. Right? I want to do this show with like tropical backgrounds, snowy backgrounds, historically significant backgrounds. It wouldn't be much more fun if I was like doing this show live from, I don't know, Petra and Jordan or something. Wouldn't that be cool? Or from the Great Wall of China, or I don't know, underneath the Eiffel Tower. Just something to spice it all up. Right, dude? Yeah. She's on the floor going, take me with you, man. Off the grid hero. Next, Hydrocarbons got attorney talking to University Lands. What now? Yes. Their partner, Hudspeth Operations, they have demanded all the communications of the University Lands board and the decision to reject the lease renewal. And I bet the board's probably going, oh, I didn't consider that as a possibility. Shit. Because if they don't provide everything, if glaring omissions are found, that gives reason to sue for promissory estoppel, which basically means the board violated the preconditioned terms for renewing the lease, which essentially violates the lease. So they can be forced to give the lease back to Nextbridge and Company after that. So yeah, it's baby steps, but the lawyers are doing something, which what they should be doing, which what I told them to do last week. Joshua Auden, AI energy consumption fast tracking global warming and rising energy bills. Yes, basically the amount of energy it takes to operate AI at the moment, which is in its infancy right now, is the equivalent of a mid-sized industrial economy. Like picture, Sweden or Argentina, like that. Like as much energy as those nations produce is being consumed by AI at the moment. Which is why when someone shows you like an AI picture of a duck with a bazooka, you'd be like, oh, cool, 20 gallons of water. Because these new large server farms that are doing AI, they don't have closed system cooling. They're doing evaporative cooling, meaning they're sucking water out of the earth from aquifers that take tens of thousands of years to recharge. They're passing them through these systems and then letting the evaporation of the water result in the cooling of the processors. And that water then goes in the atmosphere and disappears, and who knows when it will come back. You might not get an equivalent rainfall to recharge those aquifers, and you're basically like sucking all the water out of the ground that could be used for drinking, crops, things like that, just to cool off processors so some bro can make a goofy AI image or ask a dumb question of ChatGPT or whatever. And that's our future. Like I get using AI to, you got a huge data model, you need to find certain things in it and it can identify stuff. Cool. Right? I can understand AI for looking at mammogram images and trying to predict if someone is predisposed to cancer or already has it in developing stages, or looking, things like that. But what most of AI is being used for is like basically like NFTs. It's like dumb shit like NFTs, like monkey pictures and scraping the internet so you can make your own version of someone else's art. So you can basically copyright infringe it. Or, it's like simpleton stuff like, left for a second and now it's gone. And that's what we're using it for. And we're so doomed. Because what we're going to have is we're going to have people that use AI to write their college essays, to do their homework, right? They're like, hey, I need this topic. Boom, print out, hand it in. They did nothing to like expand their brain in that process. They didn't consume information and synthesize ideas and spit out a thesis or anything. Like no work was done, right? You got people who hone their skills for years to become amazing artists and to make film and video games and comic books and sculptures and all this stuff. And all of a sudden you have this robot that looks at what everyone did in the past and goes, I'm going to make an exact copy of that. Ta-da! And everyone goes, right? Like, I don't know. Make AI pick up our garbage so that people who are garbage people can make art on their own. I don't know. Like, there's just so much as humans that we need stimulus. We need to be challenged. We need to use our brains. Otherwise, all we're going to be is just a passive consumer. And then what? Right? Like, if we're a passive consumer and nobody's making groundbreaking television shows anymore because we don't have the geniuses who make groundbreaking television shows, then what we're going to consume is going to be AI drivel that is a copycat of the groundbreaking television show, and it's not going to satiate us in any way, shape, or form. Right? There comes a point where you are so dependent upon this really crappy computer program to do everything for you that you no longer do anything for yourself anymore. And then what life is that? Right? Iggy sent me this video of this comic artist talking about that, and she's like, hey, our ancestors were painting on cave walls before we even had language, right? And we're taking that away from ourselves. We are making it so that we won't even paint on cave walls anymore, because we'll be like, generate a cave wall. And that's what our future is going to be. I think it's just so stupid. And the AI becomes this cannibalistic rubber cycle of garbage, because it goes through everything humans generate, and it's like, okay, I consume that, and now I need more, and so then it starts consuming what AI has already generated, which is like a fraction of what humans can do, right? But then it starts working that into its algorithm and starts generating more and more crap. And so a lot of these AI companies are realizing after 6 to 9 months that their generative AI has become dog shit and it doesn't work anymore, and you got to come out with a new version that then has to consume all of human experience again, and then it starts consuming more AI stuff from its previous generations, and it gets even worse. And then you come out with another version that consumes all of what humans have done, and there's even more AI stuff that they end up consuming. And it just becomes this like Habsburg inbred, goofus hemophiliac garbage. And that's what we're gonna have, for the rest of our lives. We're gonna be dealing with this. My brother has a very simple test to figure out if AI is good or not, and it has not passed this test in years. He tells the AI to write 5-word poems with 5 letters in each word. And it might get the first one with 5 letters and 5 words, and the second one will be 5 letters, 4 letters, 5 letters, and it has not gotten it right. It can't do it. You can go to ChatGPT right now and ask ChatGPT, write me 5 poems, each with 5 words, and each word with 5 letters, and it can't do it. It just can't. The simple one people do a lot is, how many R's are in strawberry? And ChatGPT's like, 2. No, there's 3. Oh, I'm sorry. How many R's are there in strawberry? They're like, 2. This is the crap that we're depending upon. And if your AI can't figure out how many R's are in strawberry, what makes you believe that AI has somehow generated 2 million new compounds that can be made? Because it can't. It just made it up. So here we are, just consuming energy and water, basically, so people can make fart jokes in image form as we cook ourselves to death on this planet. Good job, world. Code K is ready. Fantastic. Colin, you see Larry Cheng's post? Did it. Dealing with new wealth? Yep. Let's hope we're all newly wealthy soon. Indeed. Lost on Island, just skipping like a dipshit until the show begins. That was funny of Walls. If you saw Tim Walls yesterday, day before, he's at some rally and he's like, let me talk about Donald Trump's running mate. And he's like, not JD Vance, Elon Musk. He's just skipping around like a dipshit. That was funny. And then a lot of people were like, well, if Donald Trump said something like that, people will be outraged. At the exact same time, Trump was at a rally and he called Kamala Harris a shit vice president. So, yes. But where is the outrage coming from? The people outraged about Walls. No one acknowledged Trump's. Derek Hollis from Hopium tolerance is too high. Well, what's he going to do, right? Marcella Giordano, Houston, happy birthday. Do you think the rumored Trump tape of him groping underage girl is real? It's sad that it probably won't have much of an effect. I think it will have an effect, just not with his ardent supporters, if it's real. And my belief that it's real comes from the fact that folks like Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec. Jack Posobiec is a straight up neo-Nazi. He tweets the 14 words crap on Twitter all the time. He's a Nazi. Anyway, the two of them, hours before any leaks from journalists about the possibility of that tape existing, were saying, you're going to see a video. It's fake. It's deep. It's AI. It's not real. And that from those two clowns enough for me to go, oh, it's definitely real. It's out there. It exists, because those two cannot be trusted at all, and they will give any excuse they possibly can to see their like white nationalist dreams come true. So it from what I've seen, and again, this is rumor, innuendo, and no verification. Supposedly, what's on the tape, and they were saying teenager, and then I've seen other reports that it's a 10-year-old, is that Donald Trump sticks his hands inside the underwear of a child at a fundraiser dinner. And the child is the daughter of one of the people at the fundraiser, and that's what's on the tape. That apparently it's very clear that he did that, and that's not cool if that's the case. I don't think it would affect the MAGA crowd. They will lie to themselves and say that it's not real, it's fake, and they'll come up with excuses all day long. I do think it would affect those independents and undecided voters who could waver either way. And we're getting to the point where we're at 25, 26 million people have already voted, right? And we're 2 weeks away, as of yesterday, from the election itself. So it's going to be folks who have not made up their minds yet. If this video comes out and that's what's on it, those are the ones who are making up their minds on this. And yeah. So, yeah. I mean, he's on the Access Hollywood tape saying he does that to people. That's what he got found culpable for in the E. Jean Carroll case, was straight up grabbing a woman. Another woman came forward today who was a model who says in 1993, Epstein and Trump groped her in a similar manner. There's, the lawsuits from Katie Johnson and others saying stuff like that had happened. There's comments from Miss Teen USA pageants where Trump was doing things like that. Like, this dude seems to have a very long history of these sexual assaults, and he's on tape admitting it in that Access Hollywood tape. But a lot of people will delude themselves, be like, that's not real. But I mean, you get to a point where like 50 women come forward on Harvey Weinstein, and finally like, okay. And dozen women come forward for P. Diddy, we're like, fine. 77 women came forward on Bill Cosby. How many is it now for that dude from the Sound of Freedom movie? The movie that came out last year is all about the guy who like finds children that have been sexually trafficked and he rescues them. And it turns out he wasn't actually rescuing any children. What he was doing was he would convince a woman in his church to pose as his wife, and they would go somewhere to rescue children, and then he would just rape them. Not the one children, his fake wife, but it'd be out of the country so that there'd be no one to report it to. And then he'd come back and find another woman to travel with him somewhere, and then he would just rape her. So there's like 6 women or something that have come forward with those allegations, suing his organization and him. Like these guys, it's never a one-off. It's never like, well, I tried sexual assault once, and you know what? I'm good. No, they do it again and again and again. Every single person who sexually assaults people is likely a serial sexual criminal. So, and you get to the point where the dude's cognitive abilities are getting weird. So his ability to maintain composure in front of crowds is disappearing, right? There's a kid that was in my class in high school, and he was in a huge car accident with a couple of children. I can't remember who was driving, but a bunch of teenagers in a car, huge crash accident. He lost a huge chunk of his frontal lobe, and he eventually had no filter as a result. And he went from like this like cool hip kid to really awkward to be around, because he would say the quiet part out loud, right? Like the internal thoughts. He would see a beautiful woman go by, and he would say something very graphic about what he was imagining with that woman, very loudly, with zero filter. And you just can't have people like that. And there are folks that, as they get older, right, they start to deteriorate mentally, and some of those things disappear, or those parts of the frontal lobe that tells them, like, don't say that out loud, that wouldn't be cool. And they go through acts they normally wouldn't, and that's... I have a feeling that that's where we are. This dude did not be like, I'm in a room full of people right now. Honk. And that's, you know, it's gross. And, oh, there's Marcella saying, also saw that the Sound of Freedom guy got charged with trafficking. Yeah, he's being sued by the government for trafficking because he was literally trafficking women out of the country to sexually assault them. So, you know, is that every accusation is it a mission type thing? Just... Fabrizio, Mooplop. Corporate Walnut, what's it like to be a nerd but too tall to bully? I got in a lot of fights in middle school and high school. Not because like they'd try making fun of me and I was like, I'm not gonna put up with this, and then they'd stop. But they would make fun of my friends, and I'd say, hey man, don't do that. They're like, well, it's not you. I'd be like, yeah, but I like this person and you're bothering them, so I'm going to turn you into a crater. And so, yeah, I mean, I was done growing at 12, 13 years old, so I towered over some of these assholes. But yeah, that's what happened. A lot. and then eventually all those kids all went off to like the alternative school for like juvenile delinquents, and I didn't have to worry about them anymore. After like my sophomore year, I never really saw them ever again. So, except for that one kid. Spud. He was a little guy too. He was like this little beach ball of a dude, but for some reason he would step up and then get his ass kicked by people. And we had our run-ins and everything, and one of our run-ins resulted in him being sent off to like this like Jesus boot camp, do push-ups and pray to Jesus for high school thing, and he had to go there for the rest of high school. And while I was in college, I was working at a bar in the summers, and I had to like man the door one night, and he tried to come in. I was like, nope, you're not allowed in here. He's like, what, I'm 21? I'm like, I don't care. You're an asshole. And until you apologize to me and about 50 other people inside, you don't get to come in. And this is bullshit. And he like all angry and leaves, but what is he going to do about it, right? He's like 5 feet tall. And so apparently I went back to school, and he had come in because I wasn't there, and then he did something to the bartender, and the bartender 86'd him forever, and he was not allowed in. So I graduate, come back, you know, before I start, it's because I graduated in December, and I didn't start grad school until fall. I'm working at the bar, and I'm now managing that bar, and one of the employees, I guess, grew up with him and was like, do you know Spud? And I was like, yeah, he's an asshole. He's not allowed in here. She's like, what? But he's going to come down and visit me tonight. I'm like, yeah, he's not allowed. He comes down here, I'm calling the cops. And so she has to like call him and be like, you can't come down here. Houston said you're not allowed. And he's obviously like, that's bullshit. So later that evening, I'm working behind the bar, and the phone rings. And the bar phone has caller ID and shows me that it's Spud. And so I'm like, oh. And I pick it up. I'm like, you know, Harbor Pub, this is Houston. How may I help you? And I hear, I'm going to come down there and I'm going to kill you. And I was like, oh, man, can you speak up a little bit? It's really loud in here. I'm going to come down there and I'm going to kill you. And I put the phone on mute until the whole bar was like, shut the fuck up. And everyone just goes quiet. And I put the phone on speakerphone and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, can you speak up one more time? I can't quite hear what you're saying. And very loudly, so that all 50 patrons can hear, out come from the phone goes, I'm going to come down there and I'm going to kill you. And I said, everyone, did you get that? And everyone's like, yes. So I hung up on him, dialed 911, got him arrested for felony terroristic threat, and he had to plead guilty and spend like 6 weeks in jail and a huge fine. And yeah, so, you know, those grudges, they carry on for years later. Yeah, fuck that guy. He was such a piece of shit. Wasn't he, Monkey? And the main beef started because I was walking with a friend of mine. I lived with him walking to the school, and she would go to like this ballet center. So we're walking there, and he leaned out of a car and hawked a loogie right in her face. And then the next day I beat the shit out of him. And I dragged his little corpse into the assistant principal's office. I was like, punish me, man. And the assistant principal just shook my hand and said, it's about time someone did that. Suspended Spud, and nothing happened to me. I was like, this is awesome. So I felt very vindicated. Monkey wants a treat so bad. She does, but you know, we're waiting. Anyway, glory days. Okay. Eric, Houston. Happy not birthday. Have you heard from Rosa at all? No, I have not heard from her. Do you see the MMTLP situation going on? Yes, I've seen the MMTLP situation. My guess is that we're going to be looking at court. Lots of court. And I have no idea how long it's going to take. Something that I was hoping was going to get resolved in a year or two. Might be longer now. And so it's just... If I could have like 20 sets of hands twiddling thumbs, I would. Right? You would, Monkey. If you had thumbs, you would twiddle them all down. You'd be so ecstatic to twiddle thumbs if you had them. Rather than like use your mouth to manipulate everything. How gross is that? Get all slobbery. You can like pick things up with your hands. Zapdos. Shout out to Monkey Butt, the fat cat and kitten. Well, Monkey Butt and the fat cat's here. The kitten was here. She's popped off somewhere. But because Monkey Butt mentioned, we'll do a pig's ear. How's that sound? Yeah? One of these. I'll come up and get it. Make some crunchy sounds for everybody to listen to. Ooh. Jason Blackwell, Houston, Trump has lost the election. Can you fill it with an L or an R? Oh, sorry, is E star action. Yes, yes. Ralph Fan, what's your thoughts on XRP and Finger? XRP, I mean, people always ask me my thoughts on XRP, and XRP is a bank-to-bank transfer protocol, meaning you take value from one bank, you transfer it to another bank. It will never be volatile. It is not designed to be volatile. Everyone's hoping that at some point it's going to squeeze and rock to the moon. It is not designed to do that. It's designed to hold its value so the bank can take $1 million here and put $1 million there, and that when they do that, it doesn't become $20 million, it doesn't become $5,000. They need it to be very stable. And so XRP it doesn't seem like an investment vehicle to me. It just seems like a way to move money from one place to another. Finger, I had hopes for Finger. They seemed to be making a profit. Last year, they were having lots of peaks every month. They would have a peak, and then it would drop again, go up to like $7, back down to $3, $7, back down to $3. And I haven't looked at it recently, but I don't think it's done anything too exciting. It's $1.88 right now, so definitely nothing too exciting. We had last 5 years, we had our main spike in 2020 at $16. We had in 2023, we basically did $6 down to $1, up to $6, down to $1 and change. So just kind of doing that for the last couple of years. So we've had 3 cycles to $6, 2 cycles basically down to $1 or less. I think they're making a profit, if I remember correctly. Oh no, sorry, they aren't losing as much. So they're only losing $1 million. Before it was like they're down $30 million because they were a startup. But now, my guess is they'll probably profit eventually. But I mean, I think it's still a squeezable item. When it had its peak to $16 was that week, or the week. It was one of the stocks that peaked the week after GameStop did. So it's February 5th when they peaked. So it was a week after GameStop's big peak, which happened with a lot of OTC stocks. Were they OTC then? I think they only got listed recently on, was it NASDAQ? Yeah, they're on NASDAQ. So they may have been OTC then with all the other OTC stocks. Taco Sam, Houston. I work at Home Depot and was told they are doing major projects in the new year. I know they are not doing well and have a feeling this will go horribly for them. Well, last time around, what Home Depot did, because a huge portion of the business is contractors, right? They have contractors coming to get their loads and everything shipped and everything. And that dried up when the construction boom busted. And so they did their do-it-yourself campaign where the music was like, and like, you got this. And like, they did lots of little classes about how to plant gardens and build a shed and whatnot. And they started focusing on home renovations because folks couldn't hire people to do it. A lot of them were underemployed, had time, so they could, you watch HGTV and you get inspired to like redo the floors in your kitchen or change the cabinets out. And so there was a lot of do-it-yourself stuff. And I wouldn't doubt if we see Home Depot, Lowe's, others start going back towards marketing to the individuals and writing off, just being like, well, we're not going to get the contractors right now, so may as well try to get what we can out of it. So yeah, I think that's what they're going to be doing. Peachy Sunday, Enron, Musk is a deep sheet. Yeah, Elon has been contacted by the Justice Department and told that his raffles are potentially illegal. He's being investigated by the Michigan AG and I believe the Pennsylvania AG. So if you don't know, what Elon Musk is doing is he's got a couple of problems. One, his super PAC is paying people $47 to sign a petition, which, depending on the states where it is, that can be illegal. And then he's giving away $1 million a day to different people who signed the petition. That starts to be considered election interference. Basically paying for votes is where the crime can be coming in. And the other problem is his super PAC and Donald Trump are not supposed to have any contact with each other. And because he heads the super PAC and Donald Trump heads his campaign, them doing campaigns together and Elon campaigning for Donald Trump causes a giant conflict of interest, which is one of the few things that you cannot do under Citizens United. Citizens United kind of let, money can go anywhere. You just can't have any collusion between the campaign and these PACs. And it's very obvious that Elon has been colluding with Donald Trump and using his super PAC that way. So he's under probably several criminal investigations regarding this. And this type of stuff that like Dinesh D'Souza got convicted for. So they do convict these things. Doesn't matter how rich or powerful you are. If you are in violation, you are probably going to cop a felony for it. So I think that's why Elon, in that interview with, was it Tucker Carlson or something? He was like, Trump better win or else I'm going to jail. Laughing it off. But, it just seemed to me that we got this weird cabal of like the scions of former South African aristocracy have come to the United States just to mess things up. We've got Elon, we've got Peter Thiel, we've got that dude who now owns the Los Angeles Times who just messed up. So I don't know if you heard about the story. Los Angeles Times, they're doing their endorsements because editorial boards do their endorsements. They're doing their endorsements all the way down the ballot. This person for Senate, this person for State House, this person for County Council, whatever. And then they were going to endorse Kamala Harris, and the publisher stepped in and was like, no, you will do no endorsements. And kept them from doing their endorsements. And a member or two of the editorial board have now resigned in protest, being like, look, dude, we're doing our job. You overstepped your role as a publisher. And then the publisher dude, his name's weird. It's like Shingle or something. And he's buddies with Elon. And he wrote this whole post about how, like, the board just couldn't come up with a decision, just couldn't pick a side or not. And the board member's like, no, we picked one. You just wouldn't let us publish it. And it, apartheid ended in April 1990. And these guys were oftentimes like teenagers at the time. And they went, I'm going to go to America and recreate apartheid. Fuck you. And that seems to be what they're trying to do. So they've all come to America, all gotten citizenship, and are just ruining everything with their stupid little Nazi bullshit because all their grandfathers were Nazis. And that's our future, is that we have a whole bunch of bullshit South African apartheidists just fucking our shit up. It's lame. Life should be better than that. These clowns, just go back to whatever compound you grew up on and be hated by everyone there. Hayes Productions. Hey, Houston, why no real estate crash? I think it's happening right now. They cut rates last month, expecting mortgages would drop, and they went up. And we're seeing a massive slowdown in home sales. Homes are being on the market a lot longer. People aren't getting approved for mortgages. When they are approved for mortgages, it's for way less than what the median home price is. So unless people earn, I think it's 60% more income, houses drop 30%, or interest rates drop down to 2%, no one can afford a house. One of those three things have to happen. And none of those things are happening. So I don't know. My guess is that home prices are going to give first before interest rates actually drop, because the banks don't have the money to lend out to buy homes. They don't want the homes on their books as collateral, especially with real estate crisis the way it is. Home sales, I think, are the lowest they've been since the 1990s. Just the difference is that some people who bought homes bought or refinanced with really good rates leading up to December 2022, that they're just sitting in their homes and they're not doing it. They're not moving. They're not changing jobs. Someone may have a better job come up. Like, hey, I would love you to be my new executive vice president. We're going to pay you $300,000 a year. And the person does the math in their head, like, okay, I make $225,000 right now. I bought my house for $1 million. I'm at a 2% rate. If I move to Phoenix, or if I move to San Francisco, or wherever this new job is, I'm going to be looking at a $2 million house at 8%, and I'm going to be losing money on that. So they're doing the math in their heads, and they're like, well, I'm just going to stay in the job I have and live in the house I'm in, because moving would not actually be a step up for me. And so I think a lot of people are just staying in those homes. And then we've got, retirees. These boomers are retiring, and they all had like 5 kids, and they have these big 5-bedroom homes in the suburbs, and they bought their homes for $40,000 in 1983, and they're thinking that home's going to be worth $1 million, and then no one's buying it because A, no one has children, and B, no one wants to live in the suburbs, and C, no one has the money. So, their homes are sitting on the market, and they need to sell it so they can go into whatever, retirement community they're trying to get into or whatever. And it's, let's see if we can find the home sales graph. Home sales by month lowest. Okay, so this is 2023. This only goes from 2005. Okay, that doesn't help. Okay, so it's this is from. Interesting. This is Statista, showing from 2005 to 2023. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing here. With a projection for 24-25. And what it shows is we had the crash, right? 2008. So huge sales in 05, dropping 06, dropping 07, bottoming out 08 to 2011. And the market picks back up into 2021. So 2020 was pretty good, but 2021, when people were working from home, they moved all over the country. But then things started to hit hard. Inflation and rates rising. 2023 bottoms out, and then the projection is that 2024 and 2025 rise. But 2024, I believe we are at the lowest we've ever been. We've been since the 1990s. Probably since really this data has been collected on a significant level. Let's see if we can find lowest since, I want to say it's 1990 something. 60 home sales slipped 1% from August. Lowest rate since October 2010. So that's kind of when things bottomed out during that one. It's 14 low cycle. Yeah, 14-year low. So we're in a 14-year low. So that original Statista, this one here, predicting that the sales were going to pop back up again, did not happen. So we are lower than 2010, which was here. And looks like 2023 is lower than 2010. So it must be even lower than that now. Interesting. Yeah. So I think we are in a crisis of some kind. At least a crisis for real estate agents, because their jobs require people regularly selling homes, people regularly buying homes, so they can get their commissions. And now commissions are becoming few and far between, and you're going to start to see the ranks of real estate agents probably thin out as they go into other jobs, side hustles, things like that. One of my friends who's a real estate agent, he also has a house staging business, and that's a pretty good way for him to make up for when house sales get slow, because homes end up on the market longer, and so they pay to have the homes staged. Because when the market's hot, you can put up a piece of trash, and you can say, no inspections, taking bids now, and in 3 days the thing is sold for $100,000 more than you were offering it for. Now it's taking days, weeks, months to sell homes, and so you have to do all the work to redo the roof and fix the bathroom and change out that window, and then you pay somebody, hundreds of dollars a week to basically rent their furniture to stage the home in a perfect way to make it look really inviting for people. And so his staging business is taking off at the moment while home sales are slowing down, because people need to do whatever they can to get that sale in. And stage homes are more likely to sell than unstaged homes when the market's slowed down. So we're seeing it. I think it's happening. It's just hasn't been the forefront yet because the banks haven't started collapsing and the mortgage brokers haven't started collapsing. And, because interest rates were so low for so long, no one is currently underwater on their mortgages. And we don't have the same number of adjustable rate mortgages as we did in like 2008. So those are the things that are kind of saving. So everything's just kind of slowed as everyone freezes waiting for rates to drop, and they're not dropping. They tried, but it's not happening. Attaining oneness, Elon is trash. Yes. Dylan Miller, Lambo soon? If I get a Lambo, it's going to be definitely something more obscure than like... I think modern Lambos are just kind of hideous and trashy, to be honest. So, if I get a Lambo, it's going to be like some weird 1980s, LM002 truck. Something like that. But yeah, hopefully soon. Sis54, I wish nothing good for Elon Musk. Let's send him into the side of Mars. One-way ticket. Ronnie Chang had a pretty funny bit about Elon's $1 million thing, basically saying like he's so desperate he's paying $1 million in the hopes of making a friend, and people are like, thanks for the money, and then they leave, and that he wants to go to Mars to meet aliens, be the first people meet aliens, because he knows that when aliens meet the rest of us, they're gonna be like, that guy's a weirdo. And 9 says Larry just more engagement baiting, referring to Larry Chang's thing. I think he very specifically mentioned the wealth managers in Greenwich, Connecticut for a reason. Yes. A huge unit. Sorry if you answered this last show, but what's your thoughts on Patrick Byrne, Warren Buffett protege and co-founder Overstock T0, has a new documentary, Weird FBI Stuff. I think Patrick Byrne's brain is broken. I know someone who worked with him, and he was, he talked about, 15 years ago, talked about naked shorting and things like that. And he was, he did his job. But I don't know between then and now what happened, but his brain is definitely broken. He's been making the claims that the FBI had him do a sting operation on Hillary Clinton to, have her accept money from a foreign nation or something. And he never had contact with Hillary Clinton. He was always a Trumper, even back then. And he's wanted for questioning in several felonies. He's a witness in the Georgia case. He's a witness in the DC case. He's been avoiding subpoena, and he fled to UAE, which does not have an extradition, has a non-extradition, does not have an extradition agreement. So he's hiding out there, and he's hiding out there because he had a very significant role in the insurrection on January 6th, and he doesn't want to face the criminal or civil liability for it. And I think a lot of that is compounding his weird broken brainness. He'll definitely come back if Trump wins. He'd be like, skating free. No, nothing can happen to me now. But if Trump doesn't win, I don't know if he'll ever set foot in the United States again. So Yeah, and he's got a lot of stock in T0. He's got a lot of stock in Overstock. So he's a main player in this. But there's something up there that just isn't working right. And he's kind of, I think, becoming a little paranoid and a little delusional as a result. And again, his paranoia is justified because they're trying to subpoena him like crazy for all these court cases, and that's why he's in the UAE right now. So, that's what I think is happening with Patrick Byrne at the moment. Captain K-Man, it's interesting with political situations. Seems reps are going to win. Republicans are going to win? No. That's the Poly Market. Poly Market is an illegal crypto gambling site that's offshore. It is illegal for Americans to participate. If you're an American and you secretly use a crypto wallet to make bets on Poly Market, you're probably on a list and you're probably going to be facing some criminal charges, if not an IRS investigation. So Poly Market hired Nate Silver. Nate Silver was a statistician who founded 538.com, which amalgamates all these different polls into one visible track. You can see I use them a lot. And Poly Market is owned by Peter Thiel, one of these little jerk-off South Africans. And Peter Thiel is a Nazi, straight up. No bones about it. He is a white supremacist Nazi weirdo. And, he funds most of the white supremacist movements in the United States. He's got buddies in all these weird militias, etc. He's just a weird dude. And so he and a bunch of Russian oligarchs own Poly Market. These Russian oligarchs have very deep ties to the Kremlin and Putin, right? And they're the owners of Poly Market. And Nate Silver got brought in basically to lend credence or gravitas to Poly Market, but he's being paid by Peter Thiel to just juke the stats. The polls do not show that Trump is doing very well. They don't. I'm going to close this guy. Maybe my will come back. I don't know. He's not doing well. He's behind in most of the primary state or the swing states. He's behind in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Arizona, Nevada, and it's very possible he loses North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida at this point. So, that right there is enough for like 330 electoral votes, which is pretty big win. Not like Reagan-esque win, but a pretty big win nonetheless. But Poly Market says that Donald Trump has a 60% chance of winning. He does not. Early voting numbers are bonkers. Early voting numbers are overwhelmingly for Kamala Harris, right? Which means if you're going to have a big Republican turnout, it's going to come on Election Day. But if any of these videos or anything like that comes out to be true, those voters aren't going to show up. Or if they do, they're going to go, oh, I can't vote for that guy, right? And so the October surprise on it is pretty damning. They're behind. They're not going to take the House. They're going to lose the House, especially since New York has cleaned up their act and aren't going to. And all the seats that flipped to Republicans in 2022 are going to flip back to Democrats. Reps like DeLuna in Florida are toast. The Senate, it could be 50-50 again. They were saying it was going to be a Senate that this year was going to favor Republicans, but it looks like they're going to get a socialist in Nebraska. It looks like Ted Cruz might lose and Rick Scott in Florida might lose. So that's 3 seats right there that the Dems could pick up. And then Tester in Montana, it's a seesaw battle in Montana. So the Dems could end up with 52 seats in the Senate and control all 3 houses, both houses in the presidency as a result. So, no, I don't think that the Republicans stand a chance in this election. I don't know, maybe in 15 days I'll be eating my hat on that one, but I don't think so. Matthew Jackson, what's the sweet spot for federal minimum wages? I don't think you can just do a minimum wage. I think you got to do a couple other actions to make the minimum wages viable, right? Because if you jack up the minimum wage and everyone all of a sudden is making, I don't know, like $23 an hour, which is where they probably should be in most of the country, you're going to see rents and everything else, go up as people leave their parents' basement and go to rent homes. So in order to counteract that, I think you need to do some antitrust laws. You need to have the Federal Trade Commission, housing authorities, things like that, come out with rules about home ownership, limiting the number of mass landlords there can be, like Blackstone owning 1 million homes plus across the country, shouldn't be allowed. I've said before, I think no human or entity or family should own more than 4 homes. You can own 4. Your house, your vacation house, 2 rentals. Done. Ban Airbnb. No Airbnbs. Just ban it. Destroy it as a company. Light it on fire. No Airbnbs. That these short-term rentals need to be long-term rentals so people can live in these locations, right? And that would immediately bring rents down across the board. So if you're going to raise minimum wage so people can make a living wage, you need then to ensure that it stays living wage, at least is tied to inflation or something over time. Oh, you're going to come back in? All right, come on. Yeah. Your dog, aren't you? Yes, you are. Oh, you outside? You feel very cold. Are you taking outside? So yeah, but sweet spot, I mean, in 1960, minimum wage was what, $1.25? And college was $200 a year. Maybe $400 a year if you went to a really nice school. So, you could work 400 hours, pay for school, and then some. Today, minimum wage is $7.25. So it's gone up $7. So 600 and whatever percent. And college is $50,000, which is, like hundreds of times more expensive. So, it's gone up 100 times. So you got this disparity of like 6x versus 100x on that. And either you need to bring college down and minimum wage up. My dad in 1970, I think it was 74, when my parents got married, he had a home on the water in Sullivan's Island, South Carolina. It's a family of 4 with my sister on the way, so it'd be a family of 5. And he made $10,000 a year as an architect. And he could live on the water in Sullivan's Island. Those homes, the home that my dad rented and had an option to buy in the 1970s for, I can't remember, it was going to be like 20 grand or something, is now worth like $8 million. So there is a crazy inflation that's happened in, the value of properties, the cost of living that has not been seen for the public at large. It's crazy to think that a man making $10,000 a year 50 years ago could support a family of 5. It's just wild. You can't do that today. You need $100,000, and you'd probably be just scraping by at middle class at that. Even when I was a kid, like 35 years ago, I remember learning that my friend's mom was a nurse and she made $30,000 a year, and that was good money, right? And now a nurse makes, to get good money, you got to be a traveling nurse. You're probably making $300,000 a year as a traveling nurse. So that's 10x right there. If you're a nurse at a hospital and you stay there, you're going to get paid a lot less, but you don't have to move all the time. So I don't know where the happy place is for minimum wage at this point. Most communities, you got to be earning like $25 an hour to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. And most jobs, you just aren't getting that. The McDonald's where Donald Trump went and did his like cosplay as a McDonald's employee, that apparently that franchise owner is famous for not paying above federal minimum wage. So you can only make $7.25 at that McDonald's. The McDonald's here, I think they start you at $18 an hour. So, otherwise no one to work there. You just can't. I'm in a community where the average home price is over $1 million. You are not going to find people willing to work at a McDonald's. People are like, oh, McDonald's is just a job for high school kids. Okay, dude. It's Wednesday, you want a lunch. It's 11:30 in the morning, you're at lunch break, you're at McDonald's, who's going to make your food? Not a high school kid. They're in school. So you have to pay somebody living wage to make your food for you. And I guess, we'll find out where that is. I would like to see minimum wage jacked up to 20-something an hour and then tied to inflation so that you get, cost of living increase every year tied into that. California raised the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour, and all the fast food franchises went on these like big campaigns saying, oh, we're going to have to lay people off and close stores. And none of that's happened. The number of fast food workers in California has actually grown by like 8,000 workers. So, just pay people what they're worth. The minimum wage in Denmark's like $20-something an hour. And you get, 5 weeks paid vacation. You got a pension. You have full health care benefits. And the Big Mac costs like 3 cents less than the United States. So someone's making the money in the U.S. and is definitely not the workers. And it doesn't seem like the franchise owners in Denmark are hurting at all. So, where's everything lost in translation on this one? So, yeah, I don't know where the happy spot is. Give him enough. Ralph Ann, how short is short DJT? Well, with the rumor mill coming out, let's look at DJT prices right now. Oh, stock prints, that's not right. So it's popped up at $35 right now. So just imagine, right? This sucker was at $12, a month ago? Yeah, exactly a month ago. September 24th was at $12.79. We're at $35.91 at the moment. What do you think happens to the stock if that video comes out? If that video is real and it comes out, this stock goes to fucking zero. Which means any put you have, you're making $3,000 plus off of. So what's the options chain look like? It's probably, I bet implied volatility is really high because this is quite a large jump. 180% over the last month. DJT options chain. Come on, give it to me. So DJT options chain, not too much happening on the weeklies here. But even these weeklies, like at the money is $1.95 for calls, and for at the money puts, $1.77. So they're still, these are the weeklies because the implied volatility is still up there. You're still at 160 to 200% implied volatility. So these suckers, they're still pretty expensive. If we look at post-election, which is probably, if you're going to buy now, I bet they're probably $1,000. So November 8th, post-election, $928 for the call, and $8.99, so $900 for the put. So, if you look at these guys down here, these might be where you're going to get your lotto tickets. $9 for $6 puts, $2.5, $3, which is kind of silly because if the strike price is $2.5, why would you pay $3 per share for it? That's kind of silly. But, and the implied volatility is really high. It's at 300 and something percent, 500%, etc. But somewhere in here is going to be the sweet spot if you've got chunks of cash, because you buy this sucker for 41 cents. And if it turns out Trump was touching a kid and loses the election, this stock goes to zero, and you just made $1,000 off of the sucker if it goes to zero. So, that's 20x off this. That's not too shabby. So, if you get the weeklies right, you're going to get a screaming deal. Because remember, you can buy this weekly here for, $2 or less. And if, say, the video comes out tomorrow, this thing crashes by Friday, you might make a couple $1,000 off of that. So, but you're paying almost $1,000 for out to November. Yeah, that's the bet is if does he lose and is that video real? That's why it's all gambling, man. Oops, I said the reset of the chat. Where am I going? Oh, did I miss a Stephanie L? I did. Oh my goodness. Hello, hello. That's just super chatted. I missed it. Tell everyone to hit that like. Also, no, what's up with Omex? Oh yeah, Omex still in the basement? It is. It's still at 50 cents. So remember, this was the stock that was trading at $5 and change. And then they won a lawsuit or an arbitration hearing having to do with like NAFTA free trade thingy. And in the court case, they cited Chapter 11 of NAFTA. But the trading algorithms read Chapter 11 and assumed the company was going into Chapter 11 bankruptcy and crashed the price from $5 down to pennies. And it's been floating at like 50 cents ever since. But the crazy thing is that they made $35 million from the arbitration. They got $35 million for winning that arbitration or that court case. And it should be fantastic news for them. But the stock has been like absolutely just punished ever since then. Because we were at, yeah, here we go. $4 or $5, almost $6. And then boom, right here was the news that came out that they won their court case according to something in some sort of Chapter 11 of NAFTA. And then bam, crashed down to 50 cents. Got a little spike above $1 and then just kind of, it should still be up here. You know, they just made $35 million. So their next quarter report is going to be insane, right? Like when is their Omex, earnings report? Oh, really, I should say date. Report date November 12th. Okay. So the next earnings report is November 12th. So if they report that $35 million then, I'm not sure if it'd be in that quarter or not, but it might still be included in their books. You might see this thing absolutely skyrocket because this number, where'd it go? Oh, here. This number, like the profit margin, is going to skyrocket, right? So the net income was negative $1.35 million. The revenue is $215,000. All of a sudden, the revenue is going to be like $35 million. And all these numbers are going to go through the roof by like thousands upon thousands of percent. So that should be special. Should be pretty awesome, right, Monkey? Yes. Yes. So it's languishing at the moment, but it should be a $5 stock. Okay. Let's go back up. Where was I? Where was so Larry Chang one. Sweet spot federal minimum wages one. Raw 2014. Houston, is it true that Nextbridge Hydrocarbons is trading in Singapore for $511? This is the first I have heard of it. So I have no idea. That sounds like rumor mill to me. If you've got screenshots or whatever, send them my way. I'd love to see it. Tanning one that says After Dark intro is the best intro. It's pretty good. Alexander did a good job on that. Jimmy Houston. What's the timeline on Freedom of Information Act requests? What's the best case outcome from a lawsuit on that? So if they're getting Freedom of Information Act requests from the University Lands Board, their lawyers are going to say, oh, it's going to take this much time to put it together. So you're looking at probably months to get the info from them. And then the lawyers on the ones asking for the Freedom of Information Act stuff, they're going to have to compare notes and match up, text messages and emails and make sure that receivers and senders match up. And if there's anything that's not there, they're going to put another, we demand this, and we have to file, it was like a rule 203, I think it is in federal court, like requiring them to provide that data. So it's going to take a while. And a lot of the Freedom of Information Act groups, like University Lands, probably doesn't have to do that very often. So they might not have actual standard operating procedure on how you get that data together. They don't have somebody who's in charge of it because it's just this like random board for these lands, and people probably never ask anything of them because they're a bunch of good old boys. And all of a sudden they're like, shit, what do we do? So they're probably having lots of meetings about how to comply. So it's going to take some time. It's going to be a while. So that's why, get those thumbs, your extra set of thumbs twiddling on that one. Alex Bishop, I'm savoring a large chicken bacon ranch poutine while watching the show. I'm in heaven. I like myself a good poutine. I worked at a place, the pub where, like that dude called and had the cops calling him. They did a pouton that was really good. And they did several versions. They had the bourguignon, which was like beef gravy, beef, mushrooms, curds. It was like this fatty thing. They had a chicken gravy one. And then they had what they call the papas latinas. And it was yam fries with like a salsa gravy on top. So it was like completely, it was like we're going to make yam fry nachos basically, except with cheese curds and everything else. So they were delicious. I like doing the chicken gravy one with beef, which I know sounds weird, but it was good. Just land, sea, and air it. I haven't had solid poutine since I left that place. I've had some like meh ones when I visited Canada, but nothing that was really like gourmet, knock your socks off. When I went through Northern Ontario, how long ago was the last time I went through there? Like 15 years ago. You get these little towns out in the middle of nowhere, right? Like you're driving for 2-3 hours and you hit a town. And the town might speak French, might speak English, but there's a cheese fry stand at one end of the town and a cheese fry stand at the other end of the town. And it seems like the entire town was divided as to which cheese fry stand they were devoted to. And if you went to the other one, you were like an enemy. So I guess they take it very seriously there. They all tasted the same to me. I'll be honest, the fancy gourmet one that pub made there where I worked has been better than any regular run-of-the-mill cheese fries and gravy I've had in Canada. Ace Ventura, maybe by the enemy within he means BCG? No. He means anyone who criticizes him. That's what he means. So I mean, I'd love to think it was BCG, but no. He's when Trump says enemy within, he means anyone who criticizes him, anyone in government who is not willing to sign a loyalty oath to him, right? Remember, Agenda 47 and Project 2025 both have parts of that platform that says when Trump becomes president, they're going to absolutely cull a lot of the bureaucracy unless people sign loyalty pledges to the president. Like when you work for the federal government, your loyalty is to the Constitution of the United States. They want to change it to the loyalty of the president. And so the enemy within is them saying, all those folks who are against me, we're going to clear you out. You're going to do what Maduro did in Venezuela, which caused them to crash their entire economy, right? They had thousands of petrol engineers and mechanical engineers and geologists working one of the largest oil fields on the planet. Maduro comes in, he's like, are you loyal to me? And a lot of those engineers are like, no. So he fired them. And the entire oil industry has since collapsed in Venezuela because the competent people weren't willing to sign some loyalty oath to Maduro. And that's what Trump wants. And so to him, the enemy within is anybody who's not voting for him. They are the enemy. They aren't seen as like also Americans that he needs to lead. They're seen as obstacles to his ability to consolidate power. And the reason why he wasn't able to consolidate power the last time around was because of, I don't remember on Twitter, you'd see like Alt National Park Service, Alt NOAA, stuff like that. Those were the main accounts for these agencies got taken over by Republican appointees and started producing bullshit. And so other employees who were, experts in the field, park rangers, scientists, social workers, etc., they create an alt account. We're like, okay, we're going to show you actual science and facts and things like that. And they did not like that. The Republican Trump did not like the fact, knowing that these folks were doing that, and they want to get rid of them. They want them gone. And so, yeah, there we are. Where am I? Ken Smith says, Houston, any video of Trump won't change any minds that haven't found him vile. Just another story of true. That's true. I mean, the people who are like rah, it won't change their minds at all. Right? It may make some like callous even more, and it'd be more for him. I think the important part are the undecideds and independents who, have a passing acknowledgement of what's in the news cycle. Because there's a lot of people who have no idea what's going on. I mean, I was talking with a dude not too long ago. It was back in July when Biden stepped down. And he's a kid's 23, 24 years old. And I said, oh, yeah, but Biden stepped down. He's not running for president anymore. And so, our VP is running for president. He's like, who's our vice president? I was like, Kamala Harris is our vice president? He's like, never heard of him. Okay, so that's our uninformed voter right there. He's registered to vote, has no idea who the vice president of the United States is, and that's a person that they're going to vote with whatever information they have 5 minutes before they go into the voting booth. That's what you're going to get, and that's a large chunk of the population, or not insignificant chunk of the population that's what they see. They're like the voter version of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan sits down and he's like, he absorbs the ideology of whoever he's interviewing. He has like no ideology of his own. Someone says the most crazy shit to him and goes, wow, I believe that now. And you could have another dude come in the next day, say something completely opposite. He'd be like, I believe this now, right? He's got no ethos of his own. Independent voters are very much like that. Or not independent voters, I say undecided voters. You can have all the news in the entire world. When the news comes on, they change the channel to like Kardashians or Survivor or, Bachelor. Like, they will avoid news, and then the last moment before they go in the booth, they'll be like, who should I vote for? And whatever information pops up at them, negative or positive, that will seal in their minds who they're going to pull that lever for, and then that's it. And that's where they are. Ace Ventura, I'm starting to think Trump might be a bad guy. There's an inkling, maybe. Yeah. Alex Bishop says 11:11. That was like an hour and 18 minutes ago. For you, anyway. KCDB, Houston, happy birthday. Do you have a banana in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? What if I have both? Confusing, Houston, what are your thoughts on No Labs? In 2 days, we will have their conference call, their shareholders call, and I think we're going to find out some stuff. They did some really big moves. They have a new chief technology officer. They did some moves on the board this week. Last week, they announced that joint operating agreement with the company to make steering wheels that could measure alcohol. So my guess is they're going to outline how they're going to be back in compliance with the New York Stock Exchange, and hopefully give us at least some hints as to when we can expect them to do an FDA application. Which last year they were saying they're hoping to do it fall of 2024, and we're in the fall of 2024. So, yeah. Robert Hurt, E. coli at McDonald's, not good. Yeah, so remember about a month ago I interviewed on the other channel, on the Raging Election channel, I interviewed Bill Marler, who is the top food safety lawyer in existence. And we talked a lot about how beef used to be a big problem in the United States. When thousands of people got poisoned in the 1990s at Jack in the Box with E. coli from undercooked beef that, was contaminated. They sued, they won cajillions of dollars, and then they lobbied the Clinton administration to change the rules about contaminants in beef products. And we've basically gone almost 20 years without big problems from beef. And everyone was all worried that this was beef. Apparently it's not. Apparently it is the chopped onions that go into the burgers that were making people sick. And Bill talked about how we have huge problems with prepared greens, spinach, things like that, romaine, and that those were getting E. coli in them because in Yuma, Arizona, and Salinas Valley, California, where a lot of these greens are made, they're downstream from cattle operations, and the cattle are pissing and shitting out E. coli, which is getting into the irrigation canals and then flowing down to these farms that then suck the water out of the irrigation canal and basically just rain down E. coli water on all of these vegetables. And so my guess is that this is one of those things, is that these onions came from Salinas or Yuma, getting rained on with irrigation water that's covered in E. coli. They got sent to a plant, weren't cleaned properly, couldn't be cleaned, and chopped up, and they got chopped up in this huge mixed batch. We're not talking like one onion gets chopped up and is sent off somewhere. We're talking tens of thousands of onions at once are chopped up, shoved into bags, sent off to McDonald's, and they go in all over the country. So you got people in like dozen states getting E. coli from these onions. So McDonald's put out an edict today basically saying no onions on burgers until we figure this out. So yeah. So go check out the interview on Raging Election. Bill, it was a pretty good interview. Bill's a very smart man. He knows a lot. And he's probably going to be very, very busy with this because when there's a food outbreak, listeria in prepared chicken. There's a big recall of prepared chicken in salads that was causing listeria. A couple months ago, it was Boar's Head, their facility in Virginia, was giving everybody listeria because, it wasn't clean and no one was doing any maintenance or upkeep. So there's letting the poison spread and just contaminating everything. So when that stuff happens, it's his job to basically represent the people affected and sue the crap out of everything. And he's found quite the niche doing that. Bye quarter pounder, indeed. Obtaining oneness, Katie Whiteboard Porter. Hell yes. Houston, will Gensler be replaced? Ooh. So I was saying Katie Porter for Attorney General, but she'd also make a fantastic FTC chair where Lena Khan is. I would love to see Lena Khan become the head of the SEC. That would be the best. Keep her where she is or make her the head of FTC. I'd be cool with Katie Porter at FTC or the DOJ. Who else would be good in there? Suzanne Trimbath. Put Suzanne Trimbath ahead of the SEC. Get an academic in there. I don't think it'll happen, but why not? I just saw Sis 54 popped in. Dome Valley, just outside of Yuma, Arizona, has a giant cattle ranch. You can smell the shit from the freeway. It's a very dirty place. Shit-covered cows stuck in pens. I doubt proper measures are being done. Oh, hell no. And that's what Bill was talking about, was those cattle ranchers are hey, the runoff isn't our fault. Someone else has to deal with the runoff. You just make sure those farms figure out a way to filter all the E. coli out before they water everything. And that's their excuse. I think maybe what you do is you take the farms and the E. coli cattle ranches and you flip them. So that the water runoff of the lettuce greens goes down to the cows, and then who knows where the cows go after that. But that's probably what we probably should do. KCB, Houston. Who do you think will be more harsh to tech breakups like Google, Google Department of Justice, Harris or Trump? Trump went after TikTok and said Google needs to be punished. Harris has gone after, though, with Department of Justice. Harris. What Donald Trump wants is Donald Trump wants to hold companies hostage for them to pay him off. So I think him holding TikTok hostage was him being upset that there's lots of TikToks that are negative about him. And whereas the Biden administration going to TikTok is that there's a bunch of CCCP influence in how TikTok is operated. Even though, yeah, they're based in Singapore or whatever, but their majority owner is the Chinese Communist Party. So, like, they're going to use that to influence one way or the other. Republicans won't break up Google. They won't do it. They won't break up Facebook. They won't break up Microsoft. They won't break up Amazon. They just won't do it because they don't believe in market competition. They believe in those guys rose to the top. Whatever they say goes after that. So they're very much more laissez-faire, and you won't see them breaking up the competition. Lena Khan is, I've said it time and again, she's the most effective bureaucrat we've had in generations, and she's pissing off all the right people. Yeah. Monkey, is that you? Are you doing that? You're asleep right now, so you can't even be acknowledging it. Oh, whew. Open that door back up. Citizen 54, Merrick Garland sent a warning to fucking trash person Elon over buying votes for Trump. Why warning? My ass would be in Guantanamo. Kamala is already on that bipartisan bullshit. Clowns all around. Yeah. You got to draw a line somewhere and enforce it. You can't just be like, don't do that, and then never have any consequences. If someone breaks the law, you arrest them, you charge them for it. And it serves two purposes. One, it keeps them from continuing to break the law, so it stops that cycle alone. And two, it shows other people who might be willing to cross that line to go, maybe I won't cross that line, right? So, like, gun laws in Japan are insanely harsh. The Yakuza do not commit their crimes with guns, because if they commit their crimes with guns, you're never going to see them again. They get arrested, they get charged with that gun crime, they will disappear. And Japan has got kind of a messed up penal system. They still have capital punishment, but they don't do it like the United States. For like, on January 17th at 4 p.m. we'll be assassinating, Mark Christian Roberts Rhodes for the murder of so-and-so. And then they have all these news cameras pop up. Japan basically puts out an announcement like a week later, like, oh yeah, we killed that guy. So the Yakuza, they don't like using guns because they're really harsh gun laws. And those really harsh gun laws only work if the law and order folks actually enforce it. Here in the United States, we have a lot of lawbreakers. A lot of those lawbreakers, they only get fines, and those fines are a fraction of what the money they made off of their crime. Or if you're rich, you get like, don't do that again, and then they do it again anyway. And because, by the time they do it, it's a new administration in there, and there's a new person tell them don't do it again. I firmly believe that if you're going to be a law and order nation, you need to make the punishment fit the crime. Meaning, if a third strike felon in California can get life in prison for stealing a pizza, then a guy who commits a white collar crime and steals millions should also get life in prison. Like, there should be no false equivalency in there. I think if you are a white collar criminal and you steal millions of dollars from a whole bunch of senior citizens, but you did it electronically, you might face a couple years in prison. Instead, you should face a crime the same as someone pulling a gun on somebody and taking their wallet. That there should be no difference in how those crimes are treated in the system. So Elon, violating election law and paying people to vote and rewarding them with $1 million checks, that should be taken way more seriously. And you should just clap the bracelets on that dude, haul his ass in, and charge him with something. Because it's election interference. Like, if you weren't allowed to give water to people waiting in line to vote, you should not be allowed to give them a check for $1 million. That's just bullshit. That's a bullshit double standard. And you know, fuck that guy. Gensler needs to crack down on this crap. So it just doesn't happen anymore. Because if you don't crack down on it now, you're like, well, we can't crack down on it during an election. Well, then when can you, man? Like, when can you? Okay. Timothy the Toolman 28. 12 days until Trump is president-elect. It's been a long time coming. Get that flag ready, Houston. Remember our bet. Oh, that's good old SS Minnow Johnson, who's going to have to... I can't remember what his thing was. I don't know. He had to, like, jerk off to Kamala Harris or something. Marcella Giordano just read that FINRA may be in some trouble. That's one government agency that can be thrown in the garbage dump of history. That's another thing I would love to see. Somebody campaigns and is like, let's get rid of these self-regulatory organizations and actually just have regulators regulate who don't have any connections to stuff. Because, like, FINRA is supposed to be a regulator, right? They're supposed to be like, okay, this stock is doing this thing. They need to follow these rules. They need to file these documents. And, you know, they're supposed to be like making sure that the market is fair, but they're operating their own exchanges and they have several $1 billion invested. They have their own endowment to help them fund their fake little agency. And they're operating these off exchange dark pools, which is where all the crime is happening. So if you're a regulator and you're operating an exchange, you're no longer a regulator. You're a participant. And you can't regulate yourself. It's just impossible. We investigate ourselves and find ourselves innocent. That's what it comes down to. So you need to have an independent agency who has nothing to do with trading. They aren't trading their own stuff. They aren't investing their own things. They're not acting as an exchange. You need to have just the SEC do the job. You need the SEC law enforcement powers so they can arrest these people and not have to, like, refer it to the FBI and then wait, or just file a lawsuit to get a couple pennies out of them. No, they need to have criminal law enforcement powers. KCDB, would such a tape of Trump affect market crash in some way? Puts on DJT. Oh, if that tape comes out, puts on DJT, faux show. Yes. What else? Would S&P drop or more likely rise since certainty of election is still possible? Trump would win somehow. I think if tape comes out like that, you lost whatever undecided voters are left. It's just, you can't justify that. Dating one is still traveling via Earth roamer. If it comes down to it, yes. Since before, Earth needs a hard reset. End of times reset. Just turn it on and off again. Yeah. KCB, Houston, what are your favorite books you're reading right now? When was the last time you went to a bookstore? I haven't been to a bookstore in a while. I've got so many on the shelf in the other room that are on the waiting list. So right now, I'm actually going back in time, and I'm reading a Molly Ivins book from the early 2000s, sort of about Dick Cheney, Bush administration, connections to Halliburton, things like that. Just to, like, you gotta refresh your brain as to where these power structures came from and who blossomed when. I'm not reading anything nonfiction at the moment. What's the next one on that list? I still have to read The Alchemist, which I think I have in here somewhere. I thought I did. What did I do with it? I think that was the next thing on my nonfiction list to finally read, was The Alchemist. And now I can't find it. I'd put it here, I thought. But I don't see it anymore. What did I do with you? Oh, shit. But seriously, I think that was my next one. because I'm not ready yet, and a viewer sent it to me, and I needed to read that. And now I don't know. Huh. All right, that's going to bother me. Anyway, that's the next book I got to read. Last time I was in a bookstore, I think I was buying gifts for Christmas for other people. Nothing for myself. I should go to the bookstore. If you want good gifts for people, if like your Christmas coming up, you want to get good gifts. Pretty much anything my friend Johnny Evison has written is a good read. He's done some fantastic books, all about Lulu, the fundamentals of caregiving, Lawn Boy. Lawn Boy is actually on a whole bunch of ban lists right now. There's a big campaign to get Lawn Boy banned from libraries and schools and stuff, so you can support him. Lawn Boy is a fictional story. It takes place in roughly my community. It's about a Mexican American who lives outside of a rich community, but he does the lawn care for rich people. And he happens to be gay, and that's the big problem that the fundamentalists have with the book being in school. Like, how dare you have a gay main character? But it's a lovely story, and I mean, all his books are pretty fantastic. Fundamentals of Caregiving was made into a movie that had Paul Rudd as basically my friend Johnny. And here's your life here at Chance. Is that the other one? There's a bunch of them. He's a phenomenal author, best-selling author. Go get those books for Christmas gifts for people. Johnny Evison. John Evison. Known him for decades. He was also big in like the grunge and punk scene back in the day. He was in a Seattle band called March of Crimes, which was pretty big back in the late 80s, early 90s. So he's got the music side, he's got the art side, he's got the authorship side. He's badass. Propose stupid. Hey, Houston. Using AI to make vaguely pornographic images of my D&D character is important. Don't ruin this for me, man. That's the other thing is that, like, I don't know if you've been reading about what's happening in Korea, but there's like this big battle of the sexes going on where women and young girls are discovering that their male counterparts at school and work have been using AI to make pornographic images of them, and the women don't like it, and the men are like, screw you, women suck. And so like there's like this fundamental battle going on where I don't know if any man in Korea is ever going to have sex again as a result of this. It seems pretty prolific, and the lines seem to be very hard in the sand that the women aren't going to put up with this stuff anymore. And so AI may render South Korea childless in the future. You coming in, little kitten? You coming in, buddy? Yeah? He's going to claw on the door? All right. Meredith Mahachi. Houston. Oops, come on. Oh, come here. Okay. Houston, LGMX CEO bought 3.5 million shares. Is 92% short. How you think it can go? How do you think it can go? I think how high? Use your wizard powers? I don't even know what LGMX is. I guess I should look that up. LGMX stack. LGMX. That's what it was. LGMX. Stock price. Are you trying to escape, kid? You're not going anywhere. It says, do I mean JLGMX stock price? Globex Mining, that's GMX. GMX. Do you mean, was it JLGMX? That's JP Morgan Large Cap Growth Fund. That's not what it is. What are you trying to do, monkey? I don't see what stock you're talking about. Send it to me, and I'll look at it if you have an actual link to that. Citizen 54, let's use AI to get Porter for AG trending. Million doll hairs. Okay. Confidence and Homer, one of the First Amendment auditors did the Bainbridge Chase Bank, and the responding SGT was terrible. Oh. Okay. I know there was a fight a few years ago because they do Halloween downtown. They have like all the kids come downtown, the storefronts do things, and there was an employee at the Chase Bank who had a rather racially insensitive costume, and there's a particular member of the community who took exception to that, and he was like, "Hey, man, that's offensive. Don't wear that." And the Chase Bank employee was like, "So fucking what, dude? Deal with it." And so that began a protest where this guy was out front of the Chase Bank every day being like, "This dude who works at Chase is a racist asshole." And it got a little bit of news around here about this guy's thing. And eventually I think the guy at Chase Bank got transferred out somewhere else. But that's, as far as Chase goes, that's my entire knowledge of anything at Chase Bank. It could be possibly connected to First Amendment things. So, there. Low B's given some memberships. There's some membership gifts last time around. I totally didn't see them because I was talking too much. Low B, Avocado's got a membership. Arias Shadow got a membership. T-Top got a membership. Anna Rulnick, Stephen Taylor, AVH, Branding Howard, Bex, Mamateur, and Kevin Rayonen all got memberships. Fantastic. Thank you, Low B. Fantastic. Alex Bishop, Super Chat. I missed this one. The movie Vice is all about Dick Cheney and Bush. I've never seen Vice. I remember when it came out, but I never actually saw it. Isn't it like Josh Brolin in it or something? As was he Bush in that one? I haven't seen it. I can't remember, but I'll have to watch that one. I've not seen that one. I think it like won awards and stuff. KCDB, we can use AI to make AI. I mean, seriously, like ChatGPT, program an AI for me. LGMK. LGMK. That would be a completely different stock entirely. LGMK. Logic Mark Incorporated. Looks like it spiked to 15 cents today and then dropped down to 11. So they're 92% short. They're losing at this point. They're losing $2 million a quarter on $2 million in revenue. They're based in Louisville. What do they do? Subsidiaries, payments division of Next ID, Fit Merger Sub, Perfect on the Go device. So I'm not sure what they actually make. 1 year. So they've been high as a couple bucks, and they're down to cents at the moment. 5 year, they've been as high as, they must have done some reverse splitting because they've been high as $532. So my guess is at some point they did a big reverse split. So they were here at was equivalent of $75, which is probably was around like 70 cents or something. So my guess is they did like a 10 or 100 to 1 reverse split and have been like burgity ever since. And now they are in the pennies. So they were at the start of the year, they're at $1. Now they're at fractions of a penny. Whenever companies have these reverse splits, I always just kind of on them. 92% short is a really big short. So where it can squeeze to, I mean, this is a pretty long, steady downtrend since whatever reverse split they had. And that peak from that reverse split happens to be a couple weeks after GameStop went bonkers. When did they LGMK reverse split? Logic Mark announces reverse split. When was that? That was April 21st, 2023. So last year. Okay, so they did a reverse split, which got up to a couple of bucks. Must have been at fractions of a penny. It was a 1 for 20. So, that's April of last year. We have April of last year. November 4th, April. So they did a reverse split, 1 for 20. So it must have been about 10 cents. Maybe 15 cents. They did a reverse split back to $2, and it's fallen back to 15 cents again. So they're in that reverse split cycle. I'm not sure what would fix it, but that seems to be where they are. They're Meredith. Huge unit might be in the minority here, but fart jokes greater than a habitable planet. Well, I mean, this thing has been absolutely cooking them recently, and this room has not been very habitable. Fabrizio, it worked for me. Just had to ask it twice. You did the 5 poems, 5 words, 5 letters each. Really, we did it the other day. We celebrated my dad's 88th birthday on Sunday. His birthday was actually yesterday, but as a family, and my little sister's boyfriend is an AI salesperson. He works for IBM selling AI to like enterprise software things and whatnot. And my brother had him do on ChatGPT, and he, was asking ChatGPT, kind of like Siri, to do it. And a dozen times it couldn't do it. So you must have the magic there, Fabrizio. KLDJ, DG, Houston. I just got the newest GPT model to do the 5x5x5 in 12 seconds in the first try. You have to tell it to take its time. Oh, really? Okay. Well, my brother and I are working on my car tomorrow. We'll make it do it. Chris Taylor, I'm a seasoned vet here, and you usually let hype go in one ear and out the other. But I have to admit the LC's Larry Cheng's post has me a little chubbed. On the other hand, I'm ready for the boo balls. That's you got to take both. Good with the bad. KCB, I have an advanced AI poems work for 01 preview and ChatGPT. Poem 1, light beams above black night. Poem 2, sleeps, holds vivid world views. Poem 3, heart beats under night stars. Poem 4, peace fills happy inner souls. Poem 5, fresh winds carry sweet aroma. That is a 5 for 5. Interesting. Probably because we asked it 30 times on Sunday and made it, and we're like, you're wrong! Be better! And maybe it finally fixed it. Confidence Homer, where are Secret Service agents when Trump was reportedly assaulting Donor's daughter? Probably at the exits. Be my guess. We'll find out. Captain Caveman, is James Woods a Nazi? James Woods is a racist, and he's also a pederast. I mean, there's several ladies in Hollywood who talked about when they were children, James Wood coming on to them. Amber Tamblyn is one of those people. She was like 15, 16 years old, and James Woods was trying to force his way into her pants. Yeah, he's a fine actor, but he seems kind of like a horrible person. Hopeful Pomelo 4488 Piccolo. You see the video of the Republican Mastroianni taking political mail out of someone's mailbox, blowing up on Reddit, Twitter. Yeah, he's running for New York State Assembly, I believe. And so, like, the Ring camera has him walking up, and it's a house that has the little mailbox next to the door. And he takes out his opponent's flyer and puts it in his pocket, and he puts in his own flyer. And he's just facing all sorts of hilarious. I mean, it's amazing that little crimes like that can actually get some people riled up, and then we can have like a guy get convicted of 34 felonies and run for president. So, the world is a weird place. KCDB, Mike Jeffries of Abercrombie, former CEO charged with sex trafficking. Knew people worked for him and knew of male models on his jets, but didn't say anything and kept working for him. Why? I mean, the dude definitely had like teenagers be shirtless in his stores and stuff. Like, it was very creepy for a very long time. I remember when downtown Seattle. So this is like, I was commuting to Seattle Central for school, So it's like 2001, 2002. And I would take the bus up and then ride my skateboard down. And I'd ride my skateboard down through Westlake Center, which is like the main shopping area in downtown Seattle. And where Westlake Park is, across the street, they were building the Abercrombie. So there was like this giant billboard that was almost half a block long and like 50 feet tall. And it was, they had these like two like shirtless guys, black and white, young, looked like about 16 years old, like with a football. And it said, real clothes for real people. And then, I'd skateboard past this thing for weeks. And one day I skateboarded past it and it said, real clothes for real pedophiles. Somebody had like climbed up there and spray painted it on there. And, I'd heard of Abercrombie and Fitch. I knew that like the vapid hot girls I went to high school with, that they all like wore Abercrombie and Fitch. But it just never, I never bothered going inside a store. It seemed like it was really preppy clothes. And it was later that I learned about like them forcing male employees to like walk around shirtless, and then like the women, they were forced to wear Abercrombie clothes at work, but they had to pay for them themselves with like no discount. And so like it seemed like a terrible place to work. We got WrestleMania going on with the monkey and the kitten over here. Okay. Okay, it's like 10 o'clock. I'm going for 2 hours. I'm going to do one more, and then I got to run away. I may do a show tomorrow. We'll see if news is popping off. I also need to get the starter changed in my car tomorrow. We're going to scroll down. We're going to get Prontal did some memberships. Oh, I didn't see that one. Prontal gifted 5 memberships to Chad Anderson, Trading Spaces 9884, Alexander K, and Artemis, and A Passing Cloud all got memberships. Fantastic. Okay, let's go up. Let's do... Season 54 started GoFundMe for Merrick Garland. Let's get him some balls and a spine. Yes. I think Merrick Garland, even though he was the victim of hyperpartisan politics when his nomination for Supreme Court Justice was stymied by Mitch McConnell and company, he still seems to have this belief that everyone else is still operating with some sort of conscience, I guess. And I think that's his downfall as AG. Anything awesome seems to be coming from like special prosecutors or branch offices of the Department of Justice. I'm not seeing like too much action on the Merrick Garland front. I hope that he's just silent and things are working on in the background, but it seems to me that even Biden is like, oh, I should never pick this guy. So yeah, get Katie Porter in there. Have it be awesome. Yeah. Sweet. Okay. Is that it? Is that it, monkey? Is that what we got? Are we out of here? Are we done? Are we running away now? I think we're done. So we should do, how about a classic? A classic after dark. I'll see you guys Friday for sure. Maybe tomorrow, depending on what kind of news comes out. And when I'm done working on the car. So, peace. Shabam!